Hey, ass kickers. It is Thursday, and we have another Facebook. Well, I'm saying we, but it's actually me who's doing the Facebook Live. My dog is here, actually, and I'm using a brand new camera that's hooked up to my computer, and it's, I think, better than the camera that's built into my computer, and I'm noticing that I'm really lit up today. So it's the lighting. Maybe if I leaned back a little bit, I wouldn't be so bright and pale and tragic looking. But hi, everybody. How is the weather where you are? I am in North Carolina, and we had a storm out here. You guys, I'm from California, where we don't have thunderstorms out there like they do out here. So where are you? How is the weather? I know it's still spring, I think, over in this part of the world. So I know some of you might be in Australia, where it's a different season. But man, we had a gnarly thunderstorm last night. Just trees came down, struck by lightning, all of that. If you are brand new to me, if you are like, who is this lady? I am Andrea Owen, and I am the founder of Your Kick-Ass Life, which is this page that you have liked. That's why you're seeing this video in your newsfeed. I wrote a book about 4 years ago, actually, called 52 Ways to Live a Kick-Ass Life. Not sure if you can actually see it with the way this light is. There it is. 52 Ways to Live a Kick-Ass Life. Every Thursday around noon Eastern, I come to you live with a new chapter. And this one, we're on chapter 14, and this is called, I titled this one, Shut Up and Listen. Apparently I was not joking around when I made the title of this chapter. This is a short little chapter about communication. And communication is one of those things that we do every single day. We talk and communicate with people all day, every day. And it's one of those things, though, where I noticed as I got older, not everybody has the greatest skills on how to do this well in relationships, and talking to other people. So I wanted to, in this video today, just go over a couple of the tools that I talk about in this particular chapter. And the thing is, just as human beings, fundamentally, we all want the same thing. We all want to be seen and heard, right? So I readily admit that I'm the type of person, though, this was years ago before I learned any good communication skills, where especially if I was in an argument, the only thing I was really thinking about was I wanted to be right. I was trying to make the other person wrong, or I was constantly thinking about a sarcastic remark or a snarky rebuttal in this argument in order to make myself feel better, in order to, quote unquote, win the argument, in order to come out on top and have the last word and things like that. What I have come to find, that's not really helpful at all. It might make you feel good for a few minutes, but it's not really that helpful. And like I say in the book, when I was doing that, I would barely hear what the other person was saying. I was so busy wanting to be right, wanting to win, wanting to say the most witty, sarcastic thing possible. So raise your hand. Give me a raised hand or a high five if you've ever been that person in the argument. You know what's the worst, you guys? Have you ever done this? Have you ever been in an argument with someone and you're in it and then you realize that you're wrong? And like you realize, you're like, oh my God, yep, they're actually right. and then you have that really awkward moment in your head where you're like, what do I do? Do I keep arguing just out of pride? Or do I kind of surrender and say, you know what? You're right. I am wrong, and I'm done with this argument, and I'm sorry. I mean, that's a hard choice, right? I mean, you have to be a decently evolved person to admit and end the argument and admit that you're wrong. So has anyone done that? Has anybody done that? Yes. Okay. So the bottom line of this chapter is about taking time to actually listen to what the other person is saying. And I know that sounds totally and completely obvious, but how often do we actually do that? So in the chapter, I go over 3 tools, and the first one is, which is usually the first tool in a lot of the things that we talk about in self-help, is the awareness factor. So notice if you are not listening. Notice if you are thinking about what you're going to say next, or maybe if your mind is completely wandering off to thinking about your grocery list, thinking about how irritating this conversation is, thinking about your vacation desire to go to Tahiti or whatever it is, notice that you're actually doing that, because that's your first key right there, that you probably aren't that great of a communicator. The second tool that I talk about is which I find is the most common, when you find yourself rehearsing what you're going to say next. I notice that sometimes I watch other people talk, and I notice it when person A is talking, and then when there is even like the slightest pause in person A talking, person B will jump in before that person even ends their sentence, their last word. The other person jumps in, person B jumps in. So it's clear that that person is like, they've rehearsed what they're going to say. They're not even really listening to that person. And you guys, we all do this. We all do this. I still do it sometimes. But if you do that chronically, then you probably might want to think about really just being aware of that. And I want to stop for a minute, because I think a lot of times, I'm not saying, be cognizant of this all the time in every human interaction that you have, because really where I would love for this to start, and what I would love the win to be for you, is that you do this with the people that you care about the most. Because let's be honest, like it matters. We have a spectrum of people that we see and talk to on a day-to-day basis, but the people that you communicate with, that you care about the most, those are the people that I would love for you to start thinking about this. It's your partner, your children, your best friends. Again, the people that are in your tight circle, the people that you hold close to your heart. Those people are the most important that you have great communication skills with. And then I also talk about reflective listening, which is actually something I learned in therapy a long time ago. So this is probably when you're having a conversation with someone where they're sharing something with you, like they're not telling you like, I need to go get tampons and ice cream at the grocery store. This is when someone's telling you something that is from their heart, maybe something that's a little bit harder for them to share. They're telling you about their feelings. That's when reflective listening might be helpful. So you say something like, so what I hear you saying is that you are really struggling with this decision at work. And it just makes people feel seen and heard, like I was just talking about a few minutes ago. So it's not necessarily about parroting back to them and just repeating it, because that always feels a little bit ingenuine, but that can kind of maybe feel what we need to do at first if we're not used to that type of communication. But it is just about letting that other person know that you are hearing them, that you are listening, and that you do care, because that's what they're really looking for. It's just someone to care about what they are saying. And I want to wrap it up with this one final communication tip, which I have found so incredibly helpful in my relationships, and that is come out and ask the person what they actually want. This is so helpful, especially when someone is talking about the last example I just gave you, when they're sharing something hard that happened to them. If you find yourself, raise your hand, type in the comments if you've ever been in that position where someone shares something hard with you and you don't know what to say. You are at a loss for words, whether you kind of want to fix it or you just want to make their pain go away. Like, you are uncomfortable because you know that they are uncomfortable, right? That has probably happened to all of us. So in those moments when you don't know what to say and you're kind of afraid of screwing it up, yes, Hattie says yes, then the best thing to do is just say, I don't know what to say to you right now, but I'm really glad you told me. What do you need from me today? What do you need from me right now? And that is hard because that's vulnerable. You are putting yourself out there and you're admitting that you maybe don't know how to fix it. You're admitting that you don't know how to actually make them feel any better. But the thing is, they don't need you to fix it unless they explicitly come out and say, can you help me fix this? What would you do in this situation? Can I have your advice? Most of the time when someone's sharing something special and sacred with you, they're not looking for that. They're just looking for another human being to see them and hear them. So I have found what I'm describing for y'all is empathy, really is what that is. And that is powerful in your relationships. That shows that you're listening. It shows that you care. And it also shows that you too are human. and that you're both in it together. So it's not about, again, it's not about fixing it. It's not about telling them, oh my God, that sucks. Why'd you let that happen? You know, there's so many, I could go on and on with rebuttals or, you know, things that you could say that make it worse. We've probably all had that experience when we've shared something with someone and they've one-upped us or gasped out loud and got really upset, and then we end up having to take care of them. There's so many ways it could go wrong, and we are flawed human beings and don't necessarily know how to communicate very well. So trust me, this was learned for me as well. But again, the tip that I'm giving you is just to ask them, what is it that you need from me? And of course your tone matters too. It isn't, what do you want? You know, because that makes it worse too. So it really is, again, the people that you care about the most, when they share something hard with you, they're sharing a struggle, whether it be big or small, and you don't know what to say and you're at a loss for words, you're finding yourself wanting to fix it, or you're finding yourself so uncomfortable too, you're like, I don't know what to say. Just say that. I don't know what to say to you right now. I'm so glad that you told me, and what do you need from me right now? Sometimes they're going to say, I don't know. I don't know what I need from you. But at least that moment is like diffused. And you're not sitting there in that sort of like deer in the headlights, stunned silence of what do I do? So just that tip, if you listen to nothing else in this video except that can be hugely, hugely helpful. So that is all I got for this week's Facebook Live video on the chapters in the book. Next week, we're going to be talking about having more fun. And if you liked this quick video, I have a podcast that I put out every single week. You can get it on iTunes or wherever you get podcasts. If you don't listen to podcasts, you should. They're so amazing. And you can just go and search for Your Kick-Ass Life. You can find it there, subscribe. Please, please, please leave me a review or a rating if you do like the podcast and continue to listen to it. All right, y'all. So see you next week over here on Thursday at noon Eastern time. Bye-bye. Oh, wait. Comments. I didn't say anything about the comments. I usually do that. Okay, so Michelle, you usually say, how can I help you? Yes, Michelle. Perfect. I love that. Romy, yay. Raise your hand. Syra. Okay, Syra, you were here last week, so please tell me if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So you said, I repeat my statements because I feel the other person hasn't totally understood me. Is this normal? If not, how can I fix this? So you said, I repeat my statements because I feel the other person hasn't totally understood me. So I'm assuming, did you ask them? I would first ask them, do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, I am pronouncing it right. Okay. That's the first thing I would do is say, like, do you understand what I'm saying? And my answer to that is go easy on people, because a lot of times they don't know what to say and they might lie and say, like, yes, I do understand you. You know what I have done? I'm going to take this a step further, is that I preface conversations now with people, the close people in my life who struggle in this area a little bit. I preface the conversations by saying, I'm about to tell you something that was really hard for me and I don't need you to fix it. There's one particular person I say this to. If you listen to my podcast, you know who it is. It's a person I care about a lot. I say, I'm about to tell you something that happened that's really hard, and I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to listen. So that also translates to, I need you to put your phone down and look at my face while I tell you this, and I don't need you to fix it. And people love that, because you're telling them what to do to make you feel better, to make your relationship better. Like, how awesome is that? And make sure that you say it in a kind way and not say, since you get it wrong all the time, I'm going to tell you how to do it. And I'm exaggerating, but like, you know how to say it in a kind way and say, here's what I need from you before you have the conversation. So hopefully that is helpful. Okay, so thank you all for being here. I love you. Go outside today. It is such a beautiful day here where I am. I hope it's beautiful where you are. And I will see you next week, or I will see you in cyberspace, or I'll see you on the podcast. Bye.